Hey you guys, it's Peter and welcome to my channel, Peter Likes Books. And today I'm gonna do something different. And even though it is Sunday, I had mentioned like a week ago that I'm gonna actually start doing a review once a week or some kind of video that has to do with film or movies because I'm such a fanatic when it comes to movies and films. But most of those videos will directly have to do with movies that are made from books or have something to do with books, so there's some correlation, if that makes sense. And I had said in there that originally my very first video was gonna be about the Joan Didion documentary that I had seen on Netflix. I don't know when that's coming. It will be one of these days. But I equally love television, and if you watch my vlog, which is listed below, Peter Vlogs, I talk on there all the time about TV shows that I'm watching, TV shows that my husband and I watch together, on and on and on. And so I was looking through the different tags to do, and I found the Booktube Television Tag, and I had never heard of it. And so there are so many Booktube tags out there at this point. But when I go through them, I'm like, I have done almost all of these tags. I love doing tags. So I thought, when it's a Sunday and you have nothing else to do, why not a tag video? So we're gonna do the Booktube, or I'm gonna do, and you're gonna watch, the Booktube Television Tag today. And it was originally created by Kaylee Hyde, and I will link that video below. Number one, what are your favorite shows? I don't know if this means past or current or ever. Let me see. Let me just scan through here and see. Well, I'll just talk about my favorite shows currently. We just finished watching RuPaul's Drag Race All-Stars yesterday, and we're getting excited for the new season to come up next week. And I am from Indiana, and we, for the very first time ever, have our very first Indiana drag queen, Blair St. Clair. So I'm super excited about that on RuPaul's Drag Race. We also watch The American Crime Story, and this season it is the assassination of Gianni Versace. It's fantastic, and Darren Criss is incredible in that. I also, let's see, so those are the shows that my husband and I watch together. There seems like, oh, also we watch Project Runway All-Stars, or any of the Project Runways, but right now it's the All-Star season. I also watch 60 Days In. I just finished watching Girls Incarcerated on Netflix. We are a huge television household, and we watch a lot of Netflix. I just finished watching Girls Incarcerated, which is about the Madison County Juvenile Detention Center in Indiana, so it was close to home as well. Plus, I was a social worker for many, many years, and it was endearing for me to watch that, since those were the kind of girls that I worked with for years and years and years. There's always one word I always repeat. Is it gonna be years and years and years? So anyway, and let's see, what else do I watch? 60 Days In and Undercover Teen. I'm watching those two shows, but those are almost done as well. And Chris Lee knows best when it's on TV. I used to be a bigger TV watcher. I used to watch How to Get Away with Murder with my husband, Jane the Virgin, I loved. I watched it for a long time, and The Walking Dead, but I'm so far behind on those shows that to get caught up at this point, I don't know how I'll do that. So those are the TV shows that I watch. I love documentaries and Netflix shows, so that's a lot of what I watch today. Number two, favorite genre. Well, I would have to say, okay, so the dog started barking. My favorite genre, let's see, is, well, I would have to say reality shows. I'm not a big sitcom person. I don't love sitcoms. And I mean, I do, like, when it comes to, like, Roseanne of old days and Love Boat and things like that, but typically I'm not a big sitcom person. I don't love them. And dramatic shows like The West Wing and ER, I have to get into it from the very beginning, or because I just don't have long-term commitment. Obviously, my ADHD is all over the place. So I really like reality shows, and the shorter the better. That's my favorite genre. And I painfully admit that I do watch The Real Housewives. Number three, least favorite show. Well, my least favorite show, I mean, I wouldn't watch, right? So I don't know what my least favorite show, maybe my least favorite genre would be, I would have to say, like these funny haha sitcoms, like It's Always Sunny in Philadelphia or Parks and Recreation. People always recommend those to me because they're like, you're so funny. They think I'm real funny. I don't even see it. They're like, you're so funny, you'll love these shows. I hate those shows. I don't get them. I don't get that kind of comedy, and so it doesn't, like, I don't know. I just don't laugh at them. I sit there and I watch them, and like, is this supposed to be funny? Like, I don't get it, right? So anyway, okay. Number four, most rewatched show, favorite show to binge watch. My favorite show to binge watch and my favorite show that I've ever watched is Roseanne, period, end of story. I've seen almost every episode twice, at least maybe 3 times. I can tell you everything about the Connors and Lanford, Illinois, and their house and all of that stuff. So, and it's coming back at the end of March. It's coming back the 27th, I think. I'm so excited after almost 20 years. Is it 20 years? I think it's 20 years it's coming back, so. Number 5, do you prefer watching things week by week or binge watching? It depends on the show, you know, like, if I had to pick, I would say binge watching. If I could just go through and just watch it, one after another. But I also love kind of getting excited that like the next episode is coming on TV and, you know, what's it going to be about and all that kind of stuff. And the wait, even though I hate it, I enjoy it too. I don't know if that makes sense. And, you know, kind of getting excited to see. I have like this weird thing that I do too. Like when I watch TV shows, I like look up like Wikipedia the cast. Do you guys do this at all? And then like I look and see like, I know the whole history of every cast member that's like in the show and I'm sitting there. So while I'm watching a TV show, I'm like, yeah, they did this movie and they did that show. And anyway, number 6, favorite television characters. So Lost is one of my favorite shows of life. I loved that show. And I would say like all of the characters from that show were my favorites. I felt like I was part of that show. I don't even know how to explain it, but I felt like I was part of that show. And then the Connors from Roseanne. I mean, they're, for me, of life, like the ones that mean the most to me. And I got, you know, super attached to them watching that show. And I'm trying to think of something else recently that I watched that I got really, really sad when it was over. And I can't really think, but I kind of get that way even like with reality shows sometimes. Number 7, favorite television ships. The Love Boat. No, let's see. Favorite television ships. Well, I mean, I feel like I'm beating a dead horse with Roseanne, but I love Darlene and David from Roseanne. They're probably my favorite. And let's see, anybody else? Well, kind of like the love triangle and Lost between, you know, Kate and Jack and I can't remember what the other guy's name is, Sawyer. I loved that too. And I love a good love triangle. I don't care. I know it's a horrible trope, but I love it anyway. So I would say the 3 of them. Let's see, what other shows do I love? Like the relationships. Let's see. I don't know. I think that's probably it. Oh, well, I will say this, on Jane the Virgin, in case you watch it, I am definitely, and I haven't watched it for a year, so don't ruin it for me, and I already know Michael dies and all that kind of stuff, and I think she's getting back together with Raphael, but I'm totally team Jane Raphael all the time, or all the way, so year after year after year, like I've said 4 times. Number 8, show you could never get into, Breaking Bad. I watched 2.5 seasons of Breaking Bad because everybody told me how fantastic that show was. I thought it was dark. I thought it was depressing. I really just could not get into it at all. And I tried my hardest. Like, I tried so hard to binge watch episodes. And I would be so happy when the episode was over. I'm like, God, this is so depressing. And I just felt like it was such a cliffhanger season, too. You know, like every season, like they would leave you with like this whole thing. I don't know. I don't love shows like that. The other one I couldn't get into was Weeds. I tried really, really hard to get into Weeds. And do you guys remember that show from back in the day? I couldn't get into that. Scandal, I watched with he still watches it. I watched it with my husband for a while. Couldn't get into Scandal. ER, you know, all of those hospital shows. I had a really, really hard time. The other thing that's funny is I always get hooked on shows that then get canceled. If you want to know what shows are going to get canceled, call me up because I can tell you it's the shows I'm watching currently. Kim of Queens, a reality show about the pageant woman, that got canceled. It was one of my favorite shows. That Red Band Society about those kids in the hospital, I did like that hospital show. It got canceled. I thought it was really good. The Witches of Eastwick or whatever that show was, we watched that. I loved that show. It got canceled. Every show I watch that I love gets canceled. So I've kind of like given up so much on TV now, and now I'm more of like a documentary person, and you know I listen to like a hell ton of audiobooks too. Number 9, show you fell out of love with. The Walking Dead. It's, you know, when I started watching it, I think I binge watched the first 2 seasons because it was on the 3rd season. And I couldn't really get into it in the 1st season. And then they said the 2nd season you'll fall in love with it, which I did. I watched it up till a year ago. And then it just was like, I don't know. They were killing off main characters. And it just was so repetitive. I started watching Fear the Walking Dead. And I really, really liked that one. But I kind of got bored of it too. And then I was like 5 episodes behind, and then 7, and then it was like, it's gonna take me so long to get caught up on it. I still say I'm gonna go back and watch them, and I don't know, I might at some time like binge watch a show. I'm just not really good about sitting down and binge watching a show. It's like, I really wanted to get into Pretty Little Liars. My husband loved that show, at least until the finale. He said it just ended horribly. But I really wanted to get in that show, and I actually watched the entire 1st season. I binge watched it. And like after that, I just couldn't get into it. I just was like, I don't know, like it's just isn't that good to me. It's not that exciting. So I don't know. A lot of times I start shows and I can't get into them at all. A show really has to pull me in. And I feel like right now, like there's a show like True Crime on HBO. I love those. I think those are fantastic. But I feel like there's a show that I really like that I can't think of right now what it is. I was a total Gleek too. I watched every episode of Glee. That's probably a good show to talk about like favorite characters. I mean, that had some of my favorite characters ever on Glee. And I totally, you know, shipped Darren Criss and Chris Colfer on that show. And I mean, all of it, like, you know, Finn, and the whole show was so fantastic. And I bawled my eyes out in the finale of that show. But I can still watch it. They have it up on YouTube. I can go watch that end scene when they're singing in the auditorium and just lose my mind. So anyway. Okay, number 10, canceled too soon. Glee. Roseanne. I thought Lost ended very appropriately. I was very happy with the ending. I thought it ended exactly like it should. Let's see, what else? Show that ended too soon. I mean, all of them that I fall in love with, and then they just are over. I don't really... Oh! I can't believe I'm gonna forget this one. Dance Moms. Like, it just ended. I was devastated. I loved Dance Moms. I watched every episode from the very beginning all the way through, and I really thought they were gonna like take it over and like the girls were gonna have their own show after Abby Lee Miller went to prison, and it just ended. It just like all of a sudden I was watching it one night and I was sitting here eating my dinner and I was like, okay, another episode of Dance Moms, and it just was done. I was like, oh my God, like this is the end of the show forever. I couldn't believe it. I was inconsolable that night, literally inconsolable. And all I have to say about that is, point your toes, Nia. Okay, number 11, Guilty Pleasure Show. Guilty Pleasure Show, RuPaul's Drag Race. I love that show, and I can go back and watch episode after episode after episode, and it doesn't matter how many times I've seen it, I can still go back and watch it. What are you currently watching? Well, okay, so that I thought was like the first question. So what am I currently watching? Well, the shows I already mentioned in question 1. And yeah, I have so many favorite shows from yesteryear, like Heart to Heart, Fantasy Island, Designing Women, you know, Golden Girls, things like that, that I love all of those old shows, that if they come on TV, I still watch them and still like, I love them as much as I used to love them when I watched them, you know, Charlie's Angels back in the day, and they have a lot of memories to me associated with growing up in that time, but they never get old, they never get stale, I still love them, you know? So anyway, that was actually a really fun tag. I don't think we talk enough about TV and movies on Booktube. A lot of times on Booktube, I feel like I just talk about books when it would be, I don't know, more fun to talk about all kinds of pop culture, so for that reason, we're gonna be doing more of the film things on here. So, and if you didn't know, yes, I do have a vlog channel that I mentioned, but I also have 2 other channels on top of that. So go check them out. They're all listed below. I love you guys, and I will see you tomorrow. Bye.